The Secretary and I are both serious. Employees who accept their new locations, they've got a job, and we've got an office for them, and we're planning a new home for them in a location where their federal salary will go farther.
But here's what doesn't make sense to me. If you believe in the local control, why do you fire local people?
Senator, if you're referring to the deferred resignation plan, those were voluntary decisions made by individual employees who chose, with the information that the agency provided to them, to seek a new career elsewhere.
I'm going to interrupt you here because we're going to have a little bit of a disagreement on that. You know, in talking to a lot of federal workers, they felt the axe was coming down and they had to make a choice between two really terrible things. Get fired, get one of those notices that people get.
Welcome back, Patriots, to another unapologetic episode of Right View Nation, where truth is our weapon and common sense still rules the day. If you're sick of the bureaucratic lies, if you believe in defending local communities, and if you're tired of watching Washington bulldoze hardworking Americans, hit that subscribe button right now. Don't forget to like, share, and drop your comments below because your voice matters more than any DC insider's whisper. Folks, what we just witnessed was another prime example of how the federal government loves to pretend they're working for the people, while stabbing us in the back with a smile.
First of all, I actually do support as much local engagement, local leadership as possible. I've introduced legislation on FEMA to push much more of the decision-making, much more of the authority back to the local communities that are invested in making things work. All right, so I believe more local leadership, less Washington-centered leadership is important. But let me be candid. So I have some inclination to be supportive of folks being back home, closer to where they're serving. The concern I have is whether the reorganization plan is on the level, whether it's about empowering local communities or it's about decimating the already severely cut back workforce. And that's the tone of what my questions will be about. In Vermont, we've lost 78 staff members already. And our local USDA is terrific. They're responsive. We call them, they give us an answer, they help us, right? That's what happens to you guys. We lost 78 people. So how am I going to get excited about this so-called reorganization plan where folks are going back, but we've already lost 78? So tell me why I should be confident about this.
Well, Senator, to use your phrase, this plan is on the level. The Secretary and I are both serious. Employees who accept their new locations, they've got a job, and we've got an office for them, and we're planning a new home for them in a location where their federal salary will go farther.
But here's what doesn't make sense to me. If you believe in the local control, why do you fire local people?
Senator, if you're referring to the deferred resignation plan, those were voluntary decisions made by individual employees who chose, with the information that the agency provided to them, to seek a new career elsewhere.
I'm going to interrupt you here because we're going to have a little bit of a disagreement on that. You know, in talking to a lot of federal workers, they felt the axe was coming down and they had to make a choice between two really terrible things. Get fired, get one of those notices that people get, and they then are escorted out of the building within 5 minutes. My stepdaughter, their daughter-in-law, got that over at USAID, or take the buyout. So that doesn't satisfy me. And again, we've got 78 people who wanted to stay on their jobs by and large, and we're doing a good job and would answer the phone when I called, and they're gone. So try to reassure me concretely about how this works out for the benefit of local folks and farmers who depend on USDA.
Well, Senator, with regard to your concerns about terminations, I would point you to the language of the memorandum. The memorandum puts a thumb on the scale against future rifts. As a matter of fact, the memorandum's terms specifically note that there can be no rifts under this reorganization unless it is personally approved by me. With regard to...
I'm going to interrupt. I don't want to cut you off, but sure. you know what my concern is.
I do.
I'd like to be able to follow up because I want this in the real world to be beneficial for folks in Vermont, for our farmers who are incredibly valuable citizens. The other question I have is about the balance between the commodity farming interests and concerns that many of our members on this committee have, because that's the farming in their region, and like the vegetable farmers or the dairy farmers. And I've been working for years in trying to get more support for those local farming enterprises that are suitable for the state that I live in. And my concern is an imbalance here, and I'm not going to be arguing about taking anything from our commodity folks, but I want more for folks with vegetable farms, farm to school, organic farms, and I don't see that priority as being important in what I've seen from the Department of Agriculture so far. Can you address that?
Sure. Let me make 2 points in regard to that. First, this reorganization plan as proposed by the Secretary is not meant to preferentially advantage or disadvantage any particular sector of agriculture. Second, I know Senator Schiff, who just came in, shares your concerns about whether USDA cares as much about specialty crop farmers,
Right.
I know you mentioned dairy farmers, as they do others. Speaking for myself, I do. We want all farmers, traditional, organic, specialty crop, commodity crop, to make a profit and to do well. And if there are things that we can do better, if there are ideas that you have about how we can serve your constituents better, or if there are programmatic ideas we can provide technical assistance on, please call me.
Well, I will call you, and what it really does come down to is resource allocation, because that is the reflection of the decision of Congress as to where the priority is. And it's really essential to a lot of farmers that their non-commodity orientation be respected and be supported and be encouraged. So thank you very much.
So let's get into it. This so-called USDA reorganization plan is nothing but smoke and mirrors. They want you to believe it's about local empowerment and putting people closer to the communities they serve. Really, Vermont just lost 78 USDA staff members, and we're supposed to clap for that like it's progress? Let's call this what it is, another left-wing bureaucratic purge wrapped in a ribbon of lies. They're gutting rural America's support system, plain and simple. These are the same men and women who pick up the phone, answer farmers' questions, and help folks navigate an already suffocating system. Now they're gone. Why? Because some desk jockey in D.C. decided to play God with people's livelihoods? And don't let them sell you that voluntary resignation fairy tale. The senator nailed it. Those workers were cornered. Either take the buyout or get the pink slip. It's that simple. That's not choice. That's a threat disguised as a policy. That's Washington's way. Now let's get to the heart of this. Washington doesn't give a damn about small farmers anymore. Organic growers, vegetable farmers, dairy operations, they're just collateral damage in a system rigged for the massive commodity cartels. You think the USDA cares about your neighborhood CSA or your kid's farm-to-school lunch program? Think again. The senator pointed it out perfectly, and for once, credit where it's due. If Congress isn't putting the money where the real needs are, then we're watching the death of family farming in real time. It's always about the big guys, the industrial agriculture machines that cozy up to the federal government while the small, honest, hardworking Americans get the short end of the stick. Again, let's not kid ourselves. This isn't about efficiency or serving local communities. This is about consolidating control, cutting costs on the backs of public servants, and slowly bleeding rural America dry. They think if they dress it up with nice words like modernization or realignment, we won't notice what's really happening. But we see it. We see the pattern. Whether it's the EPA strangling farmers with regulations, the IRS weaponizing audits, or now the USDA pulling support from local offices, it's all part of the same game. Weaken rural America so they can control it. Let me tell you something, patriots. This isn't the America we fought for. This isn't what our grandparents tilled the land for. And it sure as hell isn't the future we're going to accept. We need to demand accountability. We need to stand with our farmers, our USDA workers, our small towns, and tell Washington, enough is enough. You work for us, not the other way around. And if you think we're going to stay silent while they rip the heart out of rural America, You've picked the wrong nation to mess with. If you're fired up, if you believe in defending our land, our workers, and our freedom, hit that subscribe button right now. Smash the like button if you're done with the lies. And drop a comment below. Should USDA be forced to reverse this plan? What's happening in your state? Right View Nation stands with American farmers. We stand with you. See you next time, where the truth is loud, proud, and unapologetically American.